Let's take a look at the SunJib. I spotlighted Konova products in the past, and for good reason. Everything I've ever purchased from them has been solid, well built, and more importantly, works. Konova sent me this SunJib 700 and it's no exception. As usual, it comes with a solid bag and makes transporting what might otherwise be a pain quite simple. This is the SunJib. The arm comes fully assembled, and thank God, I'd hate to have to put this all together. This is the jib head assembly where you would mount your camera. This is the arm, which, unlike other jibs, is one piece. This is the tilt block up here, all metal, finely machined. This knob allows you to lock the up and down tilt. Down here we have the pan mechanism, and this thing is rock solid, as you'll see later. It gets some of the smoothest panning shots I've ever seen. This chunk of metal is the telescoping balancing arm, and as you'll see later, it is brilliantly designed to connect the jib arm and counterbalance any weight. This knob and the screw going through it is the ball base adapter. It allows you to mount the jib to a ball base type tripod or a regular base type tripod. Here we have two hex keys. One is for the top plate screws, again as you'll see later, and the other is for mounting your camera on the top plate itself. This is the weight bar. You put it through the hole on the balancing knob, then mount weights on it to balance the jib. These are the two weight lock knobs, machined aluminum, which allow you to lock the weights down after mounting. These two here are the weight lock rings, which keep the weights separate and from banging on the jib arm. This is a telescoping lock nut. It's used to lock the balancing bar in place once you get the jib balanced. And here we have an unplanned cameo from Filmmaker, who finds all this intensely interesting. Anyway, this knob locks the telescoping balance arm so the jib itself is properly weighted. This knob is the weight bar lock knob, which locks the weight bar in place so it doesn't shift back and forth. This wasn't called out in the manual, but it looks like it's a longer top plate which can replace this one, useful for cameras that have a larger mounting footprint. This little knob, I see nothing in the manual about it and have no idea where it goes. Hopefully when I assemble the unit it will make more sense. Let's go see how to put this thing together. We've got all our parts laid out now, so let me show you the steps to putting the SunJib together. Here's that extra top plate I showed earlier. The plate is much longer than the one it came with and can be replaced if needed. I appreciate the extra screws supplied with the plate and shows me they are thinking about what the person buying the unit might need. The supplied hex key is for those screws. I don't need it, so I'll set it aside. The unit comes with 1/4 and 3/8 inch screws for mounting any camera. You simply pop whichever one you need under here and lock down the camera. This chunk of metal here is reversible, which allows you to mount a ball-type head mount if that's what you have on your camera, or the standard mounting on most others. Just unscrew it, flip it around as needed, and you're done. Make sure to tighten the screw down with the supplied hex key. This mechanism here is for mounting the jib onto your tripod or anything that requires a ball mount and locks the jib down. I'm not using a ball-type tripod, so I don't need this. This is the telescoping balancing arm, and the way it mounts to the jib is ingenious. The jib arm itself has a large keyed female on its end. The telescoping arm has the male keyed on its end. This pin is controlled by the thumb slide on the top of the arm. Here's the thumb slide that unlocks the pin. So you slide the balance arm onto the jib, slide the thumb slide back, and it drops into place. This arm is locked in here big time. It doesn't move, bend, warp, and it feels like it's one piece of solid arm. I really like this design. Now we have the arm mounted. This is the telescoping weight mount that slides in and out, a really nicely machined chunk of aluminum. Grab the weight bar and slide it into the hole at the end of the telescoping balancing arm until it's centered. Next, take the locking ring and slide it onto the bar all the way in. Grab the other locking ring and slide it onto the other end. Because the arm is able to move in and out, you want to take this knob here and screw it into the balancing arm. Now it's locked down and the arm doesn't move. You would loosen this knob, slide the balancing arm to where you need it, and lock it back down. It's going nowhere. Let's attach the weights. I have these weights from a previous DIY jib I did, and they are not supplied with the unit, and that makes sense, as they don't know if you're mounting 2 or 30 pounds of camera and gear to this jib, and shipping would be ridiculous. If you don't have any, you can pick them up at a local department store. Grab a weight and slide it on one side, then slide the weight on the opposite side. The The thing is now weighted, which will give you the counterbalance you need. These hunks of aluminum lock the weights on and have a nice O-ring on them to compress the weights against the locking rings. Just screw them onto the weight bar and do the same for the backside. Make sure they are locked down and we're done. We have the weights fixed and doing what they are supposed to do, which is counterbalance the weight of the camera at the other end. By unlocking the screw, we can move the weight arm in or out, position it as wanted, and lock it back down. Let's go take a look at the other end. The jib will move up and down. When your camera is mounted to this end, notice the plate stays level, which is exactly what you want in a jib. Oh, and before I forget, notice this bubble level on the pan mechanism that mounts to your tripod and is a really nice touch. Up above the pan mechanism, we have the tilt mechanism, and I love that they included a locking level and have built this thing with really high quality parts. The same for the front mechanism, which holds the camera. For mounting the camera, I suggest using a quick release plate, which makes it easier to pull your camera off for other shots as needed. Personally, I prefer to mount a fluid head on the end of the jib, which has a quick release built into it. Just take the supplied 3/8 inch screw and run it up through the bottom. Mount your head onto the top plate. Now I have something that allows me to rotate the camera into any position I want to. I can also tilt the camera into any position I want. This really saves time as I can set up my camera in any position needed, and all I have to concentrate on is jib movement. Next, I slide my camera onto the video head and I'm good to go. Let's balance the jib. Notice it's leaning toward your right, so all we do is loosen the weight locking screw and slide the weights out until the unit is balanced. Add or remove weights as needed to get the jib balanced. Now don't think you need to balance this thing to within inches of its life like you would a stabilizer. It will work whether you balance it or not. Balancing or counterweighting the jib is important because you don't want it to come crashing down and falling over, ruining your camera, or worse, smashing your fingers. Balancing is to make the jib easier to move up and down, but more importantly, it is done to protect you and your gear. The last thing to do is mount it on your tripod, and here's a word of warning. This is a high quality professional mini jib and it has some weight to it. If you try and mount this on an $18 plastic tripod, you're asking for trouble and you'll hurt your gear and possibly hurt yourself. You should be using a high quality beefy tripod for mounting high quality beefy gear. I wanted to see if I could get away with a cheaper tripod, so I mounted this to a Davis & Sanford, not the worst, but when you extend the legs to 6 feet, you're going to get some shaky movement. Here I am shaking the jib back and forth. It's not the jib that is moving, it's the fully extended tripod legs. Lastly, this is a professional mini jib, not a crane, so don't expect to get shots from the top of your house to the sidewalk. Its vertical throw is about 4 feet, plenty if you use your imagination, as you should for any type of moving shot. Let's take a look at a couple of random test shots. This is my first test, discovering that a crappy tripod with legs extended to 6 feet is not a good idea. I weighted the tripod down and now it's behaving much better. Same shot, exposure on inside instead of outside. I wanted to test the pan only on this and it's ridiculously smooth. With any jib, close foreground objects against a background look great. Shots of the water looks fine and stable. Another good use of a jib is a reveal type shot. And how could we possibly take shots without including our star, Filmcat? The cons are it doesn't hold up well on cheaper tripods, but that's going to be a problem for any gear. I suggest you invest in a good sturdy tripod anyway if you expect to move into better gear. The pros are obvious and mentioned throughout the video. It's extremely easy to set up and break down, and with the bag, those features that make it easy to travel, you'll be more likely to bring it on your next shoot. It's built like a tank, does what it's supposed to do, and will last into the next decade. If you need or want a well-designed, high-quality jib for your videos, I would highly suggest looking into the Konova SunJib. Links are in the description below. I hope that helps. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Okay, I think I figured out how to do this. The next course at Basic Filmmaker University will be priced at $79. I'll offer a discount to anyone enrolled at the university to get the course at $59. Enrolling in the university is free. There's a hint there.